Hey, what's up? So the sun's setting, so I was like, oh, it's perfect time to film one of these things. I don't know where the hell to look with my eyes, but I'm just gonna talk to y'all again. Last video, 0.4 click-through rate, gotta love it. But yeah, I was thinking because I went on this flight, came back from Kansas City, went out there with family for Thanksgiving, came back on the flight, and I was sitting next to his mom and his girl, and we were chatting, doing all this stuff, and I wasn't quite like thinking like, oh yeah, yeah, I should like get her number, doing stuff, and like I didn't have the urge. Like, there's been one time I think in my entire life where I've had thing like where I'm like I got to do this, and I wasn't feeling that, so I didn't do it. But then the last few days I've been sitting here just thinking like, should I have done it? And it's the whole idea of the shoulda, woulda, coulda thing. Like, should I, woulda, coulda, whatever. Like, I'm never gonna meet her in my entire life ever again, likely. And it's one of those things where it's like you can spend so long thinking about stuff, but in the reality, stuff happens. You kind of just gotta move on and learn from it and kind of grow. Like, maybe I should have done that, but ultimately I didn't. So now I just gotta keep on moving, and that's kind of how life has been. And what's weird is in my life, the things that I've had the biggest consequences, the things that I've hurt the most, things that have been the most painful, are the things that haven't had the shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's always the things that are like really painful for like bits of time, like I kind of like more like you're getting like a sting or something like that versus actually like a full thing, like like breaking an arm. Like the things that hurt the most are like the stings and all that stuff versus like, oh, I like tore my arm or something like that, which is like in relation to. But I'm doesn't make any sense. But it's the things that are like the quick ones that hurt like hell, and this is one of those things. And I've noticed that a lot of times you're going through that stuff, losing someone, whether it's someone just not caring about you and kind of like the thing that's whatever ending, or them dying, or them someone moving, or whatever the hell, like any of that stuff is. Dude, I completely forgot what I was gonna say. I completely. I'm not even kidding you. I completely forgot what I was gonna say there, which is not great. But it's it what was I? Okay, so I was saying I was talking about losing someone. Dude, I damn it, I like that point. Shit. Uh, yeah, I don't. Yeah, losing people, losing aspects. Okay, I remember. It's really tough, and it will be kind of no matter what it is. But it's what I found is tougher, and what leads to a lot of these shoulda, woulda, coulda is when you go from something that's like good or great to garbage and trash, or like in terms of the way you feel. Not necessarily it could not. It's not necessarily the people around are terrible or so whatever situation, but more so that you're going from a situation where it's like almost meeting. It's like checking the boxes for you, your heart, your mind, your whatever. It's not like you're in it, you're connecting, you like whatever this is, whether it's a place, a person, a thing, and you go somewhere where it's not that. That's when it hurts like hell. I remember one time when I was first time I ever like actually hanged out with this one girl, whatever. I say one girl, like it's happened multiple times. It hasn't, but when I came, like when I went from that to like go back to like apartment, dude, I'm telling you, it was like effing like I don't know how, like it was like a Six Flags just all the way down. It was arguably it felt like what it would be like to come off like a hard drug, like going like dry, cold turkey, whatever, off a drug. That's what it felt like emotionally. And this thing that happened a few days ago, like not getting the girl's number, not like talking to this, whatever, wasn't as tough, but it hurt. It hit like hell, and I know it hits like hell when I'm still thinking about it days later, and when it's kind of dominated my mind the entire time. Whenever something dominates your mind or whatever, something like that, it's always from something that's missing that you once had. Like it's almost like I think about my dad a lot because something I'm missing that I had that I haven't filled the space with. Like there was times where I kind of did, but like not really. And so when you don't have those things to fill a space, they should have, could have, are really easy because you're like, oh, I should, maybe I should have done this, should have done that. When in reality, in the moment, you weren't really feeling like doing it. So that's why I try not to have any regrets. Like this is the closest I've been to like having regrets lately, and so that's why I'm like thinking about it. Why I want to make a video is even the things that seem like should have, could have, like that are the things that have to happen, are supposed to happen, even if it's a thing where you maybe mess up. Like messing up is a part of the process of life. So you shouldn't feel like just because you messed up that it's a mistake. Like at the very least, is learning about things like that. And realistically, let's be honest here, it wouldn't happen. Like stuff doesn't just stuff. If everything happens for a reason, if we're all on this planet, we're that one out of a trillion thing that ended up becoming a baby, whatever, and all that stuff. A little thing about not talking to a person or that it's not going to be the thing that derails your entire life. It's going to be a thing that you think about and momentarily are like whatever, but then you kind of move on. So that's why getting hung up in stuff is really not going to do you so well, because getting hung up is only going to kind of elongate the process. You just kind of got to move. And that's the thing I learned from the same girl I was talking about that had that like domestic dinner is I remember I this is kind of going back to whatever, but I remember I think it was like 2 years or something after the dad stuff, and I would have all these framed photos of my dad up, and not necessarily as a bad thing, but I would be like looking at them, like lamenting or like kind of like doing that kind of stuff, like really thinking about it, being conscientious about it a little too much. And she was telling me, hey, like you can't really, it's tough to move on when you're constantly living in the past and stuff like that. And I was like, that's pretty good. And since then, I mean, I have like a wallet that's his, and I look at photos and do stuff. But when you live in that past, when you live in those things, it's really bad. Like I've had a thing of like looking at old messages or doing whatever and like trying to go back to that. Like obviously there's a time and place for stuff, but you don't want to live in what could have been. You don't want to live in the ifs and the ands and okay, if this happened and then you don't want to live in that space. You want to live in a space where it's whatever. And trust me, right in the moment, it's hard as hell to not live in that space and to go move forward. But you got to move forward, and the quicker you move forward, the quicker the should, woulda, couldas leave you, and you kind of focus on now, and you eventually forget about it. Like I've had so many of these little type of experiences in my life that you just kind of move on and you kind of learn and you kind of grow, and there's a value to it. Like even for me, I think in the terms of like okay, with this situation with this girl that I sat next to on plane that did get on board, whatever, is that okay? At the very least, it prompted me to think in a way to where I'm going to make a video or like another video or do all this stuff that is something that I wouldn't have done before. It's like, oh, or caused me to do a certain way to where I like did this thing for this thing. It's like it kind of positions you situations, whether seemingly good or bad. I think they're all kind of just situations at the end of the day, but they kind of like guide you to where you need to go in life. So you kind of just the more you just allow them to happen and kind of do what is right in the moment, the better it is. Like it's not like a situation where I was like, oh, I like with a number thing, like where I'm like in that moment I was like, oh, I gotta get her, blah, blah, blah. Like it wasn't that. And now if it was that and I didn't do this, then I would be like, okay, I still everything out for a reason, whatever. But it would have been more like, okay, like it would be trying to like, okay, are you being too nervous? Are you being too scared? Are you doing this? Like really using that learning method versus just being more conscientious about how that could affect you. Like I wouldn't change. I don't know if I would change anything, but it's more so a learning method to where I can, to where like you go through the thing, you're like, okay, if I'm in a similar situation, you kind of know what would happen if this happens or this. It just helps you learn. Like it's like you never know what a food is going to taste like until you try it. If you can't judge something until it happens, so you kind of got to go through a bunch of different situations, understand all this stuff. So you don't have the shoulda, woulda, couldas because you've done everything, you've tried everything, and you understand what it is, and you just understand it. And the most important thing is just understanding that there's a process to what's happening in life. It's not like the world's gonna end just because this thing happened or this thing didn't happen or whatever. It's all just one step in the journey you're taking, and at the very least, it helps you learn and grow. If it's a thing that you messed up, if you didn't ask a girl out that ended up going with a friend of yours and actually secretly liked you, but because you didn't ask her out, she went with someone else, or that would be a rough situation. But if you didn't go on this trip and this girl went on it that you really liked, or oh, if you didn't go to this one thing with your family and they got pissed off, like there's all these little things and they just help you learn and grow and you're able to do that. So realistically, should would couldas are more so a thing to kind of like toss aside. Things are gonna happen in life. You gotta just learn and grow and let it shape you into the person you're becoming and do the best you can because ultimately everything happens for a reason, whether you believe it or not. I That's what I believe. I mean, faith or not. But hope you're having a nice day. I love you all. I hope you guys are having a great December and whatever month. I doubt anyone else is watching this. I see the analytics. I know what's gonna happen. You get a decent bit of views, yeah, because that click through rate is terrible. But yeah, subscribe, like, love you.